She'll step to the rubber here to get things going on a beautiful Saturday morning here in Columbia. The wind has died down, just a little breezy, nothing like what we experienced yesterday. And it's strike one to Reagan Johnson leading things off for Arkansas. Starting lineup has Johnson, Reagan Kramer, Bree Ellis, and a new spot for Kylie Halverson. She's been good as of late. She's batting cleanup. 0-2.
Trying to find that right mix in the lineup to have somebody batting behind Bree Ellis, because as we get deeper into this season, especially when you're facing familiar SEC opponents, Bree Ellis is that one player in the lineup that you circle that you try to pitch around.
This is slapped foul. You saw the flags. The wind is not going to be a big factor here today. If you were with us yesterday, we got to the point where there was beach volleyball sand blowing across the outfield. Dave in camera 4, he's raised the camera level up. The lift is up higher. There's still sand out there, not as much as there was yesterday before the winds blew through.
Still surprised there's sand left over there with as much that was blowing across the field. But honestly, I was expecting to see more defensive miscues with balls that were put up in the air because of how much the wind was swirling. But the errors on defense for South Carolina came on ground balls in the infield.
Just misses 1-2 to Johnson. Speaking about good defense, it wasn't all bad for South Carolina. Johnson was robbed of a hit twice by that South Carolina defense yesterday. Riley Blampede was SportsCenter top 10 for her play in center field. That's what South Carolina's trying to build on in the field. Slow roller to first, and it will roll foul.
The other play was a hard shot to Denver Bryant, who was playing third base yesterday, playing second base today for South Carolina. Jumped up and snagged the line drive straight out of the air. Tough day at the plate for Reagan Johnson, but she was able to square the ball up consistently, and that's something that you want to see from your leadoff batter. 12th in the SEC in batting average with that .373.
She's got great speed and beats it out down the line. That was close. We'll see if South Carolina wants to challenge it. You talked about the changes in the infield. Zoe Leno at third base. Jen Cummings getting the start at first, and you mentioned Bryan over to second.
Johnson is so quick moving down the line. I thought she was out when we watched that in real time, and even watching it in slow motion, I think she might have been out on that play. But because it's so early in the ball game, coaches have to decide, do they want to go ahead and use one of the two challenges right here in the top of the first inning?
Reagan Kramer fouls off strike one. One other thing to tidy up from yesterday, we had a bit of a delay. There you see Bev Smith, and we talked to Bev about it pregame, about what the call was. There was a call late in the game, fair or foul. The umpires initially, the home plate umpire called it fair, and South Carolina got an out at first, but then the third base umpire after a conference said it was a foul ball. And that changed what happens with replay once they say on the field, this is the call.
Yeah, once it's deemed a foul ball on the field, you can't go to video replay to try to bring that play back to life, essentially. We all thought it was called fair on the field.
Kramer swung and a miss, and a strikeout for Hurd, one away.
That's why it's so important just to know what the umpires are ruling the play, whether it's fair or foul on the field. And a good challenge by Coach Courtney Deifel coming out and having the umpires get together and have a conversation before even having to go to video replay.
In on the hands, blooped out the right field. Bryant won't get there, and Bree Ellis has a base hit. Moving on to second is Johnson. She's got great speed, but she had to hold in case Bryant got to it. Second hit of the inning for Arkansas.
It's a good pitch location here. Jory Hurd's not afraid to jam up batters on the right side or the left side, and here she goes with a rise ball up and underneath the hands of Bree Ellis. But she is so strong that she mishits that one and drops it out into right field for a bloop base hit.
Here is Kylie Halverson. We mentioned up to the cleanup spot today as Kennedy Miller, the freshman, slides down the lineup. She's struggling a bit, but Halverson is not. 6 for 10 at the plate in her last 4 games, raising her average above the 300 mark.
Halverson swung the bat extremely well yesterday with those 2 hits, a double and a single. Always admired the amount of extension that she's able to get on her swings, letting go with that top hand. You can even see it right there on that foul ball. And that's how you get the powerful swings. That's how you get the distance on the balls that you're putting in play, getting that barrel to stay in the zone for as long as possible.
Down on the count, 1-2. 2-2. Hurd pitched 2/3 of an inning against Clemson and gave up a hit and a run. That was the midweek after last week's series. In the SEC for South Carolina. Fly ball to right, tagging and heading to third and getting in safely is Johnson. So aggressive base running by the speedy Reagan Johnson. Runners on the corners with 2 down.
We've already seen a good sample of what you're going to see from Jory Hurd getting the start for the Gamecocks out in the circle today. Here in game 2, she's going to throw with some pretty decent velocity, mid-60s, but she's aggressive on the inside of the plate. She'll throw that changeup often. We saw her throw one for a ball to Kylie Halverson in that at-bat. But she'll throw that curveball to both sides of the plate, not afraid to use it inside to the left-handed batters, try to work the rise ball up and underneath the hands of the right-handed batters. She's just going out there trying to get a bunch of mishits, and she's somebody, again, that has to rely on the defense behind her to be able to make those plays.
Strike 1 to Hannah Gamble. Senior 0 for 1 yesterday with a walk, a run scored, and an RBI. Comes inside, misses for ball 1. Hurd appeared twice last weekend in the Mississippi State Series. Swung out a miss, it's 1-2. Pitched 5 2/3, gave up 5 hits, couple of runs, 6 strikeouts. That's pretty good against a Mississippi State team that has proven time and again they can swing the bats. Tennessee got a taste of it last night.
They took some really good swings off of Carlin Pickens last night for Tennessee, which not too many people this year can say that they've been able to rack up a few hits. We talked about some of the defensive miscues that Tennessee made in that ball game, but really a credit to Mississippi State in their game plan going up against Pickens.
Ellis trying to steal the base and gets caught off the bag, and that will end the inning. That will end the swinging at the first pitch, a ground ball by Blampede to Shorts, and 1 away for South Carolina here in the home half of the first. We'll take a look at the rest of the lineup as Denver Bryant steps in. Bryant in game 1 had a double. Leno, Cummings, Jones, Warren, Black, Desiderio, Blankenship for the South Carolina team. Last in the SEC in hitting. We've talked quite a bit about their struggles at the plate, run production, last in home runs, but 8 hits yesterday. They had some really good at-bats. The very first, it's ironic because Blampede swings at the first pitch. She had a 12-pitch at-bat getting the game going yesterday.
Even getting a chance to talk to Coach Bev Smith before this ball game, she felt like that at-bat from Riley Blampede set the tone for the rest of the offense. She was just battling, fouling off everything that Morgan Linestock had to offer, and then finally got a hold of one in her next at-bat, sending it out of the yard.
Bryant way out in front, a strikeout, 2 down.
Berline pulling the string on that changeup, pumping in 2 straight strikes and then going with the off-speed pitch here. Denver Bryant way out in front, did not recognize that pitch out of the hand, and a solid start for Berline.
Strike 1 to Zoe Leno. Well, through the years under Courtney Deifel, we know Arkansas is a team that can swing the bats. They've been good defensively this year, and now they're getting healthier in the circle. We saw a very good performance by Robin Herron in relief, coming back from injury over the last couple of weeks. That she picked up the win, and now you get Berline, who led the Mississippi State staff in appearances last year. She hasn't pitched since facing UT Arlington in February, so she's back.
When you're facing these types of offenses weekend in and weekend out, and you don't have 2 pitchers on your staff, it puts a lot of pressure on other pitchers on your staff. A lot of pressure on people like Morgan Linestock having to throw quite a few innings for Arkansas, and really saw the receiving end of the Mississippi State series. Quite a few runs being put up by the Bulldogs in that series against her.
Leno fouls it off.
But it's not easy when you're having to go out there and you don't have a ton of different options in the pitching circle to just have to rely on just a few arms, so it's a big relief to be able to get more of those arms back. And it also makes it even more difficult for opponents to prepare for a pitching staff like Arkansas because they have so many arms out there.
That depth helps as well, because yesterday Morgan Linestock, who's been very good for Arkansas, just didn't have her best stuff yesterday, so she was pulled in the second inning.
And sometimes that happens, but to be able to have a bunch of different arms that you can go to that throw the ball in different directions, it's exactly what you need facing these teams in a 3-game series. And they've had other pitchers step up for them too. Hannah Kamenzin is one of those names that sticks out to me, that stepped up with a couple of pitchers that have been out with some injuries. But Coach Courtney Deifel was really excited coming into this weekend, hoping to get Berline back into the rotation.
3-2 pitch hit well to left field. Drifting back is Kramer, has room, and that will do it for South Carolina in the first. We played one in games to watch her throw that first pitch.
It's always fun going around, seeing alumni weekend, seeing all the players that have helped build these programs. Of course, you have somebody like Joyce Compton, but then some of the other players that have played throughout the years. Ashlyn Masters going back to 2014.
Gamble's hit by a pitch, so she's aboard. Remember, Gamble was at the plate when Arkansas ran into an out to end the first inning when Ellis was caught stealing. So she's aboard to lead things off.
Almost looked like Bree Ellis was trying to get into a rundown, but the defense for South Carolina got the out before Reagan Johnson could score at third base.
If that's the case, it looked like Bree Ellis pulled the parachute a little late, because she was pretty close to second base.
If you're trying to get into a rundown, you want to stop a lot sooner to pull the shortstop off second base.
That's a fair ball. The bunt, and Bryant, good job covering. Remember, Bryant played third base yesterday. She's at second base today. She had to go cover first on that play and made a good grab.
After further review, the play at first base is uphill. Runners out.
Surprises me a bit on that call. I thought from the slow-mo views that we got, looked like that foot got down before Denver Bryant's foot.
The only question is just the tip of Bryant's shoe, and I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Oh, of course.
Caught the shadowy part of the bag, and you're like, well, it could have. And if there's any coulda, might have, any of that, then
that's
you
where
stick with on the field.
The indisputable video evidence comes into play, because the throw definitely beat her, and it was a nice job by Bryant having to run a long way to cover first base.
So it's a sacrifice. Gamble to second, and here is Kennedy Miller. Miller having an outstanding freshman year, but she's cooled off as of late. 0 for her last 10, bringing her batting average down to 370. Still excellent, but Courtney Deifel just bringing her down the lineup a little bit. Take a little pressure off.
It's that tough time of the season, the dog days of the year, right, where you're right in the middle of season. The newness of season is a bit too far in the distance. The postseason's still a little bit far away. It's a tough spot to be in, and not to mention her batting behind Bree Ellis, too. Not an easy spot when you know that teams are pitching around your teammate to get to you.
Miller sends it out of play down the right field line.
Oftentimes as batters, you can almost put more pressure on yourself because you know that teams are going to pitch around somebody like Ellis and the power that she brings to get to you and try to do too much at the plate. But the freshman's put up outstanding numbers this year.
We saw that last night too. Ellis walked in her first 2 at-bats. This is squib just over the mound, and this is going to be a base hit. Bryant has to hold on to it. Hasn't been a lot of solid contact so far for Arkansas against Jory Hurd, but they're finding the right spots. Runners on the corners, 1 down.
And they're getting jammed on a lot of these swings, and it's because Jory Hurd is so aggressive on the inside part of the plate. You just don't see that too often, especially for a power-hitting team. A lot of times pitchers will just try to stay on the outside part of the plate, see if they can get them to swing and miss. But Hurd is aggressive inside, and you get a ton of swings at pitches that might even be called balls inside because of how often she throws it there.
Reagan Johnson had an infield single. Bree Ellis had a bloop single, and now Miller with a squib infield single. Those are the 3 hits as Ryland Hedgecock steps in.
Good looking curveball outside to Hedgecock. Doesn't get the call on that pitch.
One and 2. Hedgecock 0 for 3 in game 1 of the series last night. All-American season a year ago, hit .335 with 21 home runs, so you know she's got the power. Lays off, ball 2. Swung on and missed. Strikeout for Hurd. It's her second, 2 down.
Hurd threw a little bit of everything in that at-bat. We saw her throw the changeup, just missed high for a ball, then comes back with this curveball. Drop ball low in the zone. Little late bite to it, down in the zone. Typically everything she throws has a bit of upspin to it.
Number 9 hitter Spencer Prigge up with 2 down. Prigge giving her second straight start at shortstop. Oh, 0-2. Misses for ball 1.
Still trying to find that timing with the changeup. Hanging on to it just a split second too long. Haven't seen her go back-to-back with those changeups yet today.
Prigge pops it up on the infield. Blankenship calls for it, and that will retire the side. Arkansas has left 3 on board.
The positive light that she's shown while she was playing for the Bulldogs. I always love hearing Coach Samantha Ricketts talk about how she always had a smile on her face every single day. So it's great to sit back and remember what she brought to the sport of softball, but also to spread awareness for the symptoms of ovarian cancer.
Jen Cummings with a fly ball to center field. Johnson's got it. 1 away here for South Carolina in the second. I mean, the Teal, this is the one weekend where clash away. I know you're our fashionista here,
as
but
much teal as you can
yes,
fit into these uniforms
teal
as possible.
Accents everywhere. The more, the better.
It's so fun to see all of these teams fully embracing this day, too. Coaches are sporting the teal, hats, helmets, socks, bows, you name it. Trying to wear as much teal as possible during this day. I left out belts. Belts, too.
Belts, gloves.
All the accessories.
Yeah. 1-1 the count to Kiana Jones, batting with 1 out here in the second. Jones 2 for 3 with an RBI yesterday for South Carolina. Five home runs on the season, leads Carolina. Count now 3-1. We expect both teams to use several pitchers. Berline making her first appearance since February 25th. So we'll probably see her, maybe this could be her last inning, but you know, you're always tempted. Like you think about, oh, I just want one time through the lineup or 2 innings. But when you pitch well, that's the case for Jory Hurd. She hasn't had hard contact against her. So then you're tempted as a coach, just like, well, can we get another inning here?
And I think both of these coaches, too, are keeping an eye on the quality of the pitches that they're seeing, too, the command of the pitches, trying to take into account all of those different things along with the contact, whether it's solid, whether it's not, on whether or not they want to keep these pitchers in the game, possibly go through once, twice through the order.
Here's Bree Warren after Jones walks, South Carolina's first base runner. Warren had a hit yesterday, and she was this close to a hit that would have given South Carolina the win last night. Hit it well to right field. She's had some good at-bats, but Nia Carter was there for the final out last night.
First hit of the season for Bree Warren off of the left-handed pitcher yesterday.
She was 0 for 10 against lefties, right.
She smoked the ball to right field in the 7th inning. Was making some really good contact, and we talked about it a lot yesterday, just about this South Carolina offense, trying to figure out what's going to be the best combination for them moving forward.
The hit and run was on, and it's going to be a caught stealing as Warren kind of got caught in the middle of trying to get contact and swing. It's a swing and a miss, and then Jones is caught stealing. 2 down.
And Berline went with the changeup there, too. Nice throw by Kennedy Miller back behind the plate. to get Kiana Jones out.
Ground ball, right side, knocked down by Halverson. On the first, in time. Good play by Kylie Halverson to retire the side.
For Arkansas, that helped build up this program too, and just continuing to build on that excellence year after year. Hosting a regional, then hosting a super regional. Next step for them is trying to make that big leap up to the World Series.
New pitcher on for South Carolina as Sage Marjetko in for Jory Hurd.
The freshman coming into this ball game, and we were just talking about it. Do you leave Jory Hurd in another inning because she looked so strong the first time through the order, but Coach Bev Smith decides to make a change here to Marjetko, who's had a lot of success just as a freshman for South Carolina this year.
Back up the middle. Bryant's got it, and she has to hold on to it. It's another infield hit for Reagan Johnson, her second of the game. Yeah, Bev Smith told us before the game that she was going to go with Jory Hurd probably one time through the lineup, sticking with that game plan because she knows her staff, she knows the pitching, and this is a good staff. The numbers are good for South Carolina this year, third in the SEC in team ERA at 1.84.
And part of it's the individual pitchers doing their job out there in the circle, but also being able to leverage the matchup situations about what you're seeing in an opponent, what the pitcher throws, and trying to use them in the best possible spots throughout the ball game. And Sage Marjetko is one of those pitchers that can do a little bit of everything in the circle. But I wouldn't be surprised if she takes some notes from what Jory Hurd was able to do to this Arkansas lineup the first time through the order, how she was so good jamming them up on both sides of the plate. Try to work that into her arsenal in the rest of this ball game.
Yeah, reminder, Hurd goes the 2 innings. That's bunted foul. Infield hit to Johnson. Bloop hit to Ellis. Infield hit to Miller. Wasn't a lot of hard contact against Jory Hurd. The sophomore did her job, giving up the 3 hits.
Couple of strikeouts, 0 free passes, though. She did have the 1-hit batter to Hannah Gamble, but not giving up any walks is key for her.
Call strike 3. Kramer strikes out for the second time, 1 away. Tell us a little bit more about the freshman in the circle now for Carolina.
She really can do it all. Throws in the mid-60s, a lot of upspin on her pitches, so she's going to work both inside and outside up in the zone. Primarily does like to work arm side, so she's going to throw a lot of pitches on the inside part of the plate to the righties. Occasionally will go away.
There goes the runner, fouled off by Ellis.
But she can throw a drop, she can throw a rise, she can throw a screwball, she can throw a curveball. Has that changeup that she'll throw as well. She's able to morph into a different pitcher almost, it seems like, depending on the batter that she's facing.
Got the start against Clemson on Wednesday, went an inning and a third, gave up 3 hits, a couple of runs, had to strike out. Working down in the zone to Bree Ellis, and it's 1-1. Marjetko got a start in the Mississippi State series. Had trouble with control against Mississippi State in 4 1/3, walked 6. Ellis fouls it off, it's 1-2.
Ellis reaching base safely in 35 of 40 games. Does get pitched around quite a bit with that power.
That misses for ball 2, 2-2 to Ellis.
And to her credit, she's been very disciplined too, trying to raise that batting average this year. That's one of her goals coming into the season, to be a bit more of a well-rounded hitter, not just be the typical home run hitter.
There goes the runner. The throw is into the outfield, but holding on the bag is Johnson. So another successful steal for Reagan Johnson. She's now 30 for 30 in her career.
She has such elite speed. It's like she accelerates the longer that she's able to.
After further review, runner left early. She's out.
So successful challenge for South Carolina. Johnson is retired, 2 down, and the count 3-2 to Ellis.
Such a tough one, too, because watching that one in real time, it looked like she left on time, but when you slow it down frame by frame, that foot left a split second too early.
2-2 the count to Ellis. That's in there for strike 3. Ellis caught looking to retire the side. 2.5 completes here at Carolina Softball Stadium in Columbia. We're scoring.
She had some command issues, but Mississippi State was doing a nice job of shortening up their swings and driving the ball the opposite way.
Soft liner foul off the bat of Anaya Black, leading things off for Carolina here in the third.
And for as many defensive miscues that we saw across the SEC, Mississippi State had a great defensive day. Kylie Edwards, their shortstop, made some nice plays up the middle. Even had some great diving plays out in the outfield, too, and they got the clutch hitting when they needed it. And all through the lineup, Sierra Sacco's been a great transfer pickup for Mississippi State, coming over from Louisiana Tech this year.
One-on-one. But really, it was teams hurting themselves, what we talked about right at the top of the telecast. We've seen it here today in this game for both teams on the base paths running in to outs. But Missouri-Florida game, Mizzou wins 6-3. They had 3 hits. Their first hit wasn't until the 6th inning, but there were 5 walks. They had a 4-run 6th inning, 5 walks from Florida pitching. Hit batter with the bases loaded, so the bases on balls. Hurting Florida in that one. You mentioned Mississippi State. They ended that game on a walk-off pass ball. Don't see every day.
Walk-off run rule pass ball. Yep.
Yes, Tennessee had 3 errors. That was 4 unearned runs against. LSU had an error in the 7th, 2 total. They gave up 1 earned run to Auburn. Auburn won 3-2.
Well, and the errors hurt LSU last weekend against Florida as well.
That game ended on an error. Fly ball. Hit to center field, to the track, to the wall, off the very top of the wall. It's in play, and it's going to be a double for Black. Inches or maybe inch singular away from a home run for Anaya Black. Leadoff double, and Carolina in business here in the third.
I think that's about as far as you can possibly hit the ball with it staying in the park. It looked like it literally bounced right off of the top of the wall out in left center field. A really good swing by Anaya Black here. Times this one up. Good extension. Drives with that backside. Reagan Johnson trying to make a catch on this one. It hits right off of the top of the wall. How about the backup by Reagan Kramer, too, right there?
I think it's inch singular.
Inch, yes.
1 inch higher, and that one bounces off the top of the wall. That close.
Couple centimeter?
Oh, you're going to go metric on me.
I am.
Oh, you are so competitive. You can't.
Gammons in coming into this game. Just going to be a different look than what South Carolina has seen to start off this ball game. Working inside to the righty, Desiderio. A little bit more zip on her ball, too. Primarily going to work down in the zone. Now put in here in a tough spot with the pinch runner over at third base, Emma Sellers. Nobody away.
Line shot, diving attempt, short hop. That's going to be a run for Carolina. Julia Desiderio with her 7th hit of the season. That's her 4th run batted in. South Carolina leads here in the third.
A great swing by Anaya Black to get this inning going, and then South Carolina capitalizing on the pass ball, and Desiderio getting something hung over the middle of the plate and just smokes this out to center field. A great attempt by Reagan Johnson in center field. Almost had it. But South Carolina being very aggressive early in the count, too. It seems like they're much more confident swinging early in the count, going after pitches that they can do damage on. Already a couple of hard hit balls put into play.
It's a great point, Maddie. Yesterday in game 1, they seemed determined to go deep in the counts, but they have been swinging early in at-bats here today.
And to try to take advantage of the fact of a new pitcher coming into the ball game, they want to try to throw a first pitch strike. They want to try to get ahead in that at-bat, using that to your advantage and being a little bit more aggressive early in the count.
3-0 to Brooke Blankenship, the number 9 hitter.
And then on the flip side, as the pitcher tries to throw pitches outside of the zone, making sure that they're still bringing strikes, something that you can handle.
3-0 misses a 4-pitch walk to the number 9 hitter. First and second with nobody out, and back to the top of the lineup for South Carolina.
Going to bring it in the mid-60s. You see a little bit more zip on her pitches coming from the left side. She will utilize that drop ball to both sides of the plate. She's got that changeup to try to keep people off balance. But here she's just got to try to find that consistent command, especially as you're about to face the top of the order for South Carolina.
Reese Berline with an inning 2 innings plus 1 batter, and gave up just 1 hit and 1 walk. That hit was a double to Black that got the inning started. Sellers scored on the solid single by Desiderio. Blankenship with the walk. And here's Blampede. 2-run home run in game 1 of the series last night. Grounded to short, her first at-bat today.
Carolina has really been needing this entire season coming from Blampede.
Blampede playing a little small ball. Lays down the bunt successfully, sacrificing herself and moving over Desiderio, and Blankenship one away.
And no surprise that we're seeing South Carolina try to utilize some of the short game, too. You might be thinking, well, Blampede hit a home run in yesterday's ball game. Do you want her to stand up there and swing away? But when you look at South Carolina's offense over the course of the season, they've been just trying to find some consistency with the bats. So I like the move of going to small ball, putting down a sacrifice bunt, and moving both people over into scoring position.
Looks like we have a pitching change here as Kammen's in. Strike 1 to Bryant. Linestock did have success yesterday against Bryant, struck her out and got her to ground out. Grounder to third. Gamble tried to get the runner, but a good job by the base runner. Desiderio retreated to the bag in time. Gamble couldn't catch her. Everyone safe. Bases loaded for South Carolina.
Another defensive miscue that we've seen already in this series. I felt that Hannah Gamble had plenty of time to look the runner back at third base and still be able to throw across the diamond to get Denver Bryant, but she decides to hang on to that ball at third.
Fly ball to shallow center field. Johnson comes on with momentum, throws to the plate, and the tag is in time for the outs. Reagan Johnson comes through with a defensive gem for Arkansas to retire the side.
Tag with 2 hands, maybe didn't have as far of a reach.
After further review, run out the plays out.
So the call is upheld. Great job by Reagan Johnson on the run, makes the catch, throw not helping themselves, but Reagan Johnson helped your team out. Just take us through what you saw on that play.
Yeah, I mean, she did a really good job of staying behind the ball and coming, making the catch as her momentum was going through and making a really solid throw home. So it was great. The game of inches was not going our way, and then this last inning it switched to get a little. So hopefully that just keeps going on our side.
Well, Coach, it seems like a little bit of a similar strategy on both sides of the field today, throwing out a bunch of different pitchers. For you guys offensively, Marjetko in the circle. She got a couple of strikeouts back in the third. What are you wanting to see from your offense second time through the order here?
Well, I feel like we've looked pretty good, and I think we've kind of run ourselves out of innings. So hopefully just, let the game flow a little bit more and take some big hacks at the balls that we're hunting.
I was going to bring up the run yourself out of innings thing, but I didn't want to make you mad.
I felt it from you. I sensed that.
I have that effect on most people for you. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank
as
you, Coach.
always.
Thank you.
And we started off with this game talking about the defensive miscues and how that has led to some costly runs, but it really seems like a combination of everything not necessarily going the way that we've seen it go for either one of these teams throughout the rest of the season.
It's funny when we were talking about other series, and we can focus on this matchup right here as Arkansas comes to the plate here in the top of the fourth with Kylie Halverson leading off against Marjetko with strike 1. When you think of mistakes, I think the top thing you think of, well, an error, but there are mental mistakes. We've seen the base running mistakes, bases on balls. You always talk about how that hurts teams. Just things that you practice all week long, and then when the game starts, you forget about what you had practiced all week long, which happens as well. There's just so many different areas that you can focus on, and you don't want to dwell on them, but the margins are so thin between the teams in the SEC. The teams are so good that these little mistakes can magnify.
Well, each one of these teams, they're hunting for that little advantage, that extra edge, and sometimes the opponents gift it to them by making some of those mental miscues out there on the field.
There's a base hit to center field. Halverson has her third hit of the series. It's a leadoff single here in the fourth.
But to your point, so often we only talk about the mistakes that go down in a stat book, but a lot of times it's not the mistakes that go down in a stat book that end up hurting you over the course of the games. It's just the little inches that you give up to the other team to where they're able to take advantage of it.
Here's Hannah Gamble, hit by a pitch in the second. Strike one. Gamble showing a bunt, throw back to first, and getting back in time is Halverson. Too often you would see your number 5 hitter bunt, but we saw that for South Carolina last night. Their number 5 hitter laid down a bunt in the 7th inning.
Sometimes it's just the vibe of the game that you're playing in too. Maybe the offense isn't quite seeing the ball as well as they normally would, trying to change some things up. Maybe even take some pressure off of some hitters too, just by going up there, turning, squaring, laying down that sacrifice bunt, bringing things back to the fundamentals of softball. Oftentimes too, we talk about those mental mistakes or defensive mistakes, whatever it might be. You almost try to do too much when you get up to the plate to make up for some of those.
2-2 to Gamble.
It's hard to stick to the process when things don't seem to be falling your way. And that's when you try to gear up a little bit more, swing a little bit harder up in the box. And oftentimes it never ends up working to your advantage.
Gamble just gets a piece to stay alive. Grounded wide of third. Denver Bryant is back over to third base, so Bev Smith moving things around on the infield with Sellers at second now and Bryant at third. Gamble, swing and a miss, strike three. 3 strikeouts for Margetko.
2 of those 3 strikeouts were looking back in the third inning. This one's another strikeout on a changeup. This pitch bounced before it got to Desiderio back behind the plate. Never even started in the strike zone, bounces down into the dirt. Good deception on that pitch to get Hannah Gamble swinging way outside of that zone.
Ball 1 to Nia Carter. Carter sacrificed her first time. 1 for 3 with an RBI last night for the Razorbacks. This one is lifted out to the left fielder. Bree Warren has it, 2 down.
Another example where we're not seeing a ton of solid contact being made in this game. Went with a screwball moving up and away to Nia Carter for an easy fly ball out to Bree Warren out in left field.
Kennedy Miller had an infield single her first time, breaking an 0 for 10 skid. Takes strike 1.
Sometimes that's all you need too as a batter, just that one little bloop single, infield single, whatever it might be, just to fall your way, to break things open.
0-2. Well, Margetko has had good command so far, Maddie. 44 walks in the season, high for the South Carolina staff, but she's been throwing strikes so far in her relief appearance.
Well, and she's getting ahead early in these counts, too, and then expanding the zone after that. And it seems like Arkansas is trying to be a bit more patient, maybe knowing that she has a tendency to have some of those command issues at times. And she is just pumping in the strikes.
Line shot at the shortstop. Blankenship has it to retire the side. We'll chat with Beverly Smith, the South Carolina game. Can you go into a little detail of how you think it's played out? Because Arkansas hasn't had a lot of solid contact against your two pitchers so far.
Yeah, I think Jory Hurd did a great job opening the game. She's been fantastic against left-handed hitters. She's been great with her starts. And then Sage comes in and she can give them a completely different look. So it's working well so far.
And Coach, on the flip side for your offense, this entire year you guys have been trying to find the right pieces to get that consistency in the lineup, and it seems like this series in particular you guys are having a lot more hard contact. What have you liked that you've seen out of your offense through the first two games?
Yeah, I like that they're getting their swings off. We're putting some things together. We're also doing a good job with just short game and making things happen for us offensively.
Bev, most importantly, thank you for the beautiful, perfect weather here today. I know you had a say in it, so that's a good thing.
And it's a perfect day for Alex, and that we get to remember her and help with ovarian cancer.
You look great in teal. We appreciate you sharing that message as well. Thank you, Bev.
Thank you, Coach.
4, 5, and 6 for Bev Smith's team here in the bottom half of the fourth inning. Cummings, Jones, and Warren due up against Morgan Linestock, the third pitcher of the day for South Carolina. Breeze picking up a little bit as the temperature goes up. We're into the low 70s here in Columbia today. Strike one to Cummings from Linestock. Cummings flied out to center her first time. That was against Reese Burline, who got the start today for Arkansas. Pitched well. Lifted foul and out of play.
Cummings had one at-bat off of Linestock yesterday in the first inning, flew out to left field on a similar swing that we just saw that foul ball go down the left side. Cummings does a really nice job of driving the ball the opposite way, looks for pitches to Hunt on the outside part of the plate, now finds herself behind 0-2.
And the 0-2 pitch gets away and hits Cummings. And talk about big mistakes, little mistakes, and a hit batter on an 0-2 pitch somewhere in the middle right there.
I think I'm probably leaning a bit more to the big mistake, too,
Yes.
to start off this inning, bottom of the fourth, already down by 1 run. Middle of the order, too, for South Carolina has made some pretty solid contact throughout this series. Got Kiana Jones stepping up to the plate, but Bree Warren right behind her on deck. Had that game-winning hit in Game 3 against Mississippi State last weekend. Had a couple of hard hits yesterday. Some just happened to go right to people. But it seems like the middle part of this order is seeing the ball really well as Jen Cummings goes in and shows off maybe a bit of a bruise to her teammates in the dugout.
Got a souvenir to show, so Kai Ricks will take over at first base while she's doing show and tell in the dugout. Here's Jones. Ball one. We discussed it yesterday talking with Bev Smith about the lineup because she's someone who by this time of the year loves to have a set lineup, but it's been nonstop tweaking for South Carolina, trying to mix and match and find the right combos. But as you mentioned to her during our interview just a moment ago, you're seeing good swings, good at-bats, great approaches at the plate here, and it really starts with that no matter where you hit in the lineup.
And I think they're selling out for a particular speed or a particular location depending upon who they're seeing up in out in the circle. Yesterday we saw that 12-pitch at-bat from Riley Blampede, really just going after drop balls on both sides of the plate, knowing that you're going to see a heavy dose of those with Linestock out in the circle. Even here in day 2, trying to utilize some of the information that you got from the 55 pitches that Linestock threw in Game 1. Use it to your advantage with her coming into the ball game here in Game 2.
Soft liner foul, wide of third.
Good swing right there on the off-speed pitch. Kiana Jones does an exceptional job of reading changeups out of the hand, making the mid-pitch adjustment with her barrel. Just still a bit too far out in front on that swing, pulled it down that left field line. But little things barreling up, even some foul balls, can go a long way for a team that's been struggling throughout the year offensively.
Grounded foul. Jones walked and was caught stealing in the second. So she's been on base 3 times in this series, as South Carolina looks for their 5th SEC win. Arkansas wins today. It'll be their 3rd straight series victory after the series win against Georgia and the series win last weekend
against
Mizzou.
Yeah.
Grounded to Gamble to second for 1. The throw to first is in time. 5-4-3 double play turned by Arkansas. That's their 20th double play of the season.
Really nice play by Hannah Gamble at third base, knowing that she had plenty of time to make this play. Hard hit ground ball off of the bat of Jones. She goes for the backhand, a great throw over to second base, and a strike from Halverson over to Bree Ellis to complete the double play.
Warren blooped beyond the reach of Gamble for strike 1. I think that's one thing with Arkansas, too. We can talk about all the home runs they've hit and how their offense has been prolific through the years, and they've had some really good pitchers, especially Shanice Dels the last couple of years. But this is a team that's turned 20 double plays, as you've seen. They're 3rd in the SEC in fielding percentage, and they've committed just 25 errors. That's the 3rd fewest in the SEC. This has been a strong defensive team, and they haven't committed an error in this series.
And it's especially big when you have somebody that throws the amount of drop balls that Linestock throws in the circle. You need to have that sharp infield defense behind them to be able to make those plays, to be able to get out of jams by turning double plays.
Warren with a swing and a miss, down in the count 1-2.
It gives your pitcher confidence, too, to know that they don't have to go up there and strike everybody out. They can rely on the defense to make those plays. If they do get into a tough spot or maybe a day where they don't have their best stuff, they can still get outs.
Swung on and missed. Strikeout for Linestock to retire the side. As Hannah Kamazin will hit for Hedgecock here to lead things off in the 5th. Two and 0. Ooh, look out. That got Danielle Gibson. But she's...
Thumbs up. Looks like she's all right.
You know, when you're on the national team, you just have to just act like you've been there before, and Danielle knows how to do that.
She's probably thinking, hit that ball into fair territory. Ooh, sharply hit. She's got the clipboard, too. Didn't really have a chance to make a play on that one. Looks like she's all right.
I hope so. Team USA needs her.
Yeah, congratulations again to Danielle Gibson making the USA team this summer. Such a fun hitter to watch. Big lefty swing for Arkansas. Hit the home run cycle, still one of the most incredible things that I've ever seen.
Kamazin leads off with a walk.
Umpire called that one strike 2, so brings it to
thank you
full count.
I was with
she
Hannah.
Had dropped her. She had dropped her bat.
Hannah on that one. Look, I'm all about the presentation and the selling it, but.
Danielle's taking a couple of steps back into the dugout now, knowing that we've seen a couple of foul balls go down that way.
She's got to use that clipboard as a defense mechanism.
Not too far, maybe 1 or 2 steps down in that dugout.
Now take your base. Hannah Kamazin down to first. You know, Arkansas has had the leadoff batter aboard in each inning so far.
And have not been able to score a run yet in this ball game.
Johnson, an infield single in the first. Gamble hit by a pitch in the second. Johnson singled again in the third. Halverson singled in the fourth. So far, South Carolina been able to keep Arkansas from crossing the plate.
Both of those runners in the first 2 innings making it all the way to third base as well.
Here's Spencer Prigge. You would think she's a candidate to bunt, the number 9 hitter. Squares, pops it up. Denver Bryant's got it. One away.
Another example of just not executing the little things. When you get the leadoff runner on board, it's so important for that next batter to move her over into scoring position. And the first rule of laying down a sacrifice bunt is make sure that you're bunting a strike. And that was definitely a ball up and inside. Even looked like a defensive bunt, trying to make sure it didn't hit her. But out number 1 for South Carolina.
Back to the top of the order. Here's Johnson, who's 2 for 2. Two and 0. Johnson started the day hitting .373. She had .378 last year as a freshman. Freshman All-American, had 79 hits a year ago, leading the team in hits this year. This is right in front of the plate, and it's going to be a fair ball.
How about that bounce, or lack thereof, on that play in fair territory?
We've used the phrase game of inches a couple of times in this series. Add that to the highlight reel.
And I think this is the right call by Julia Desiderio back behind the plate, too, because if she picks that one up any earlier, I don't think she's going to be able to get Reagan Johnson out at first base. She tries to let this one go foul, but it just dies right there on the chalk line.
Now, I'm writing down that is an infield hit. Literally by a half inch, it's an infield hit.
It still counts.
It counts. It's
Still
in the
counts.
infield. Plenty of room out there. Here's Kramer. Popped it up on the infield. Infield fly rule in effect. Blankenship puts it away. 2 away.
Another swing there where just not exactly the pitch that you're looking for, even behind 0-1 in a count. You still have a bit of an advantage in that at bat, a lot of different pitches that you can look at. And Reagan Kramer did not get a good swing off on that 0-1 swing.
Here's Bree Ellis. 1 for 2 today. Had a bloop single in the first. Ball 1.
Big question coming into this series is what was South Carolina going to do if they got into a spot where they had to pitch to Bree Ellis? And of course, there is still a base open. You could pitch around, see if she's going to swing outside of the zone.
Ellis pops it up. This looks like he'll stay in play for Cummings, and they do the job against Ellis again. Once again, the leadoff aboard for Arkansas. Once again, scoreless for the...
So many great players offensively and in the circle. Of course, Jackie Traina in the circle for Bama. Leslie Drury, another name that they threw out there in the circle that season. Kayla Hunt with 21 home runs that year. Amanda Locke with 18 home runs. The combo of speed and power, of course, with Kayla Bro right up there at the top.
The first ever SEC team to win the Women's College World Series. Emma Sellers leading things off here in the 5th inning for South Carolina. One and 2. Grounded to third. Gamble across the diamond to first to Ellis. Sellers is retired. 1 down here in the 5th inning. Mentioned a lot of softball coming up today. We talked about the results yesterday. The Mississippi State run ruling first place Tennessee. Auburn starting that series with LSU with a win over the Tigers 3-2. How about Kentucky beating Georgia? Another game where mistakes were costly because Georgia gave up just 2 earned runs of the 7 runs Kentucky scored. Taylor Ebbs was good at the plate for the Wildcats. 3 hits, including a home run, 4 runs batted in.
Aaron Koffel hit a home run late in that ball game. Solo shot in the 6th inning.
And Kentucky's got the bats. Stephanie Schoonover has got the innings. We know that.
And she went the distance in that game,
Again.
too.
Yep.
Gave up 5 hits, 5 runs, 6 walks. A few more walks than we typically see from her. That Kentucky team, too, has had some great wins in this season already, too. 2 wins over Stanford in the preseason.
Oh, the win over Georgia last night was their 3rd win against a top 10 team this season. In the dirt to Desiderio, the count is 2-2. She is responsible for the game's only run. Solid single to left center in the 3rd. Brought in Sellers. Count goes full. Alabama and A&M getting their series started right now in Tuscaloosa. A&M 3rd place in the SEC. They've won some close games as of late. A couple of wins against Kentucky. Those were 2 one-run wins. There's ball 4. And
Jasmine Hill, the transfer from Arizona State, had a great week last week. SEC Player of the Week for Jazz Hill.
Grounded wide at 3rd. Reagan Bennett, freshman, pinch hitting here for Blankenship. In the dirt, well done by Miller to keep it in front of her. 1-1.
Always have to be on your toes when you're back behind the plate with the drop ball pitcher out there in the circle. Be prepared for anything bouncing down into the dirt. Nice job keeping that one in front.
2-1. Sent out to left field into the glove of Kramer. And Regan Bennett is retired. Out number 2.
Pretty good swing there, just got a bit jammed up, and that's a credit to that last-minute arm side run that Linestock will have on those drop balls inside to the right-handed batters. At times she can manipulate it to move a bit more horizontally than vertically at times. And right there, that one working to her advantage with that jam shot out to left field.
Blampede with a solid single to left. She's hit it hard in this series. That's her 2nd hit. 1st and 2nd with 2 down for the Gamecocks here in the 5th.
You can just tell by the way that Blampede is swinging the bat that she is seeing these drop balls extremely well. She almost steps across her body and gets full extension with her barrel out in front. Gets that pitch before it has time to drop down in the zone and smokes it through the 5-6 hole.
Denver Bryant 1 for 2. And the dirt blocked again by Miller, ball 1. Bryant struck out in the 1st against Reese Berline. Had an infield single in the 3rd. 2 hits in the series. 1-1. South Carolina would love to get a little insurance here against Linestock because Arkansas has knocked on the door in each inning, but unable to push the door open. Scoreless here as we play in the 5th. Just get the feeling it's a matter of time for this Arkansas offense. 1-2.
Bit of a late swing on that changeup, sailing up in the zone. Almost seems like Linestock's hanging on to that pitch just a little too long, but probably prefer for it to be lower in the zone, possibly get a swing and miss on that pitch. But Denver fouls it straight back.
This one is in the gap, left center field, being waved around and scoring. Bryant digging for 2nd base, and she's in there safely. Obstruction indicated by the umpire, so 2nd and 3rd for Carolina. Denver Bryant delivers. Desiderio scores 2-0 Carolina. There's a little insurance for the Gamecocks.
Eric, you were just talking about how important it was for South Carolina to be able to come through with 2 away in this inning, and it's Denver Bryant stepping up after swinging and fouling off the changeup before. Surprised they went back with the drop ball here, but Bryant gets barrel underneath and drills it out to the left center gap. Heads up base running to dive safely into second base on that too to get 2 runners into scoring position for Zoe Leno.
Second double of the series for Denver Bryant. She's got 3 hits in the 2 games. Strike 2 to Leno, 0-2. Leno is trying to bring some insurance in the 3rd inning with the bases loaded. Hit a fly ball to center field, but Reagan Johnson got it on the fly, threw home to the plate for the double play to hold South Carolina to just 1 run in that 3rd inning. Just missed, 1-2.
Great spot for that 0-2 pitch. A changeup that just barely misses on the outside part of the plate. A nice job by Miller to try to frame up that pitch as well. One of those pitches where as a batter you think about trying to swing at it because it's that close to the strike zone.
Swung on and missed. Linestock gets the strikeout to retire the side, but
Counts 2 that have led to 0 runs on the scoreboard for the Arkansas Razorbacks after those leadoff runners have reached base safely. The little thing seems to be the theme for today's ball game between these 2 teams.
ball 1 to Kylie Halverson, who's 1 for 2 today, 3 for 5 in the series. Halverson moving up from the 6th spot in the lineup to the cleanup spot. Grounded to shorts. Blankenship to first, 1 down. So for the first time today, the leadoff batter does not reach base for Arkansas. And again, it's little things. Routine ground ball to short. You've got to make that play. It is a tight game right now, and we told you before about South Carolina committing 4 errors in each of the last 2 games. Error-free so far here, and they've needed to be because it's another tight one. Ball 1 to Hannah Gamble.
And I often look at the at-bats that immediately follow the leadoff batter getting on base to start off an inning. Majority of the time in this ballgame, it's been a strikeout that's come right after the leadoff runners got on board. They've only successfully moved the runner over to second base once in this game after the leadoff batter reached, and it was when Hannah Gamble got hit by the pitch and the sacrifice bunt was laid down successfully by Nia Carter. Other than that, a couple of strikeouts, even a popped-up sacrifice bunt attempt.
2-1 now to Gamble. Struck out her last time. 0 for 1 and hit by the pitch, as Maddie mentioned, back in the 2nd. Three and 1. Marjetko came on in the 3rd in relief of Jory Hurd, who went the first 2, gave up 3 hits, no walks. Marjetko offers up her 2nd walk of the game as Gamble's aboard for the 2nd time today.
Already seen both coaches make several pitching changes in this ball game in South Carolina with a bit of action over in that bullpen. Bailey Bettenbaugh getting loose down in the pen for the Gamecocks.
Strike 1 to Nia Carter. Carter sacrificed in the 2nd, flied out to left in the 4th.
Nikki McGaffin getting loose in the Razorbacks bullpen. But as close as this ball game is, you want to have all hands on deck.
All handshakes on deck apparently as well. Oh, Carter gets hit by the pitch up on the arm, so first and second now for Arkansas with Kennedy Miller coming to the plate.
Command struggles starting to come out here in the top of the 6th inning for Sage Marjetko. She's been very efficient with her pitches. Wonder how short the leash is going to be for Coach Bev Smith with those pitches missing way outside of the strike zone.
Going to get a pinch runner here for Arkansas. Ali Saki will run for Gamble, and I think Bev Smith may be making a change in the circle. Miller 1 for 2 today. Starts off with a solid single to right field. Being waved around is the pinch runner Saki. She'll score, and Kennedy Miller comes through with an RBI single, and Arkansas is on the board.
How about the freshman wasting absolutely no time? Goes after the very first pitch that she sees from Elena Vaughter. Wasn't able to get a hit off of her yesterday, but this one, a pitch way low, way outside, and she just throws her hands at this pitch, drops it out into right field to score the first run of the ball game for the Razorbacks.
RBI number 28 on the season for the freshman, who was 0 for 3 against Vaughter last night. Here's Hannah Kamazin, her second plate appearance. She walked last inning. Fouled off at the plate. Sometimes a slight change of scenery makes all the difference, and for Kennedy Miller going from the cleanup spot down the lineup to the 7 spot, she's 2 for 3 today.
And sometimes it can take some pressure off of you too, moving a bit lower in the lineup, but you'd think coming up with a new pitcher, especially one in Elena Vaughter with 2 runners on, high pressure situation.
Fly ball to deep right center field. This is drifting back to the track, and a great catch made by Blampede, reaching up, trying to get back to the bag, and out to double play. Carter didn't think Blampede would get it. She was off the
Playing defensively has just been outstanding for South Carolina.
Slow roller to the right side, flipped over to first by Halverson, and Cummings is retired for the first out of the 6th inning.
I don't think it's a coincidence either that you're seeing Riley Blampede come through with clutch swings in this series, and her defense has been fantastic. Both of those can really play off of one another, give you momentum, give you confidence going over to the other side of the field.
Kiana Jones swings at the first pitch and fouls it off. Riley's had some big moments this year. She had the key hit in the 12th inning in that memorable win for South Carolina against Clemson, the first meeting between those two teams this year. Had that fantastic catch, robbing Reagan Johnson in the 2nd inning yesterday, and then running back, robbing Kamazin, and then turning and getting Carter for the double play.
Blampede batted primarily in the 3 spot for the Gamecocks last year. Has moved up into the leadoff spot. We mentioned a lot of moving pieces for South Carolina's offense, trying to figure out who's going to fit best. But she's somebody you want to have the most at-bats possible throughout a game.
0-2 to Jones.
Hard hit line drive down that left field line. Probably feels a little bit better than the one that she fouled off of her leg the pitch before.
Just a little bit. Off speed, well done at the plate. Good piece of hitting by Jones. And she has her first hit of the day, her 3rd hit of the series.
She's been another huge pickup from the transfer portal for South Carolina this year. I know we talk a lot about Elena Vaughter and what she's brought in the pitcher circle, but Kiana Jones transferring over from North Carolina, one of the first things that stood out to me when watching film this year was her professional at-bats and how well she reads off-speed pitches. And she's behind in the count there, 0-2, gets a changeup and drives it the opposite way for a 1-out base hit.
Marissa Gonzalez will run for Jones. And he'll bring up Bree Warren. Linestock trying to keep it right here for Arkansas and give the Bats a chance to tie it up or go ahead in the 7th inning. Warren 0 for 2. Ball 1. There goes the runner, delayed steal. Gonzalez grabbing for the bag and got there. Prigge just could not find the body with the glove, and Gonzalez in safely.
It definitely looked like the throw beat Gonzalez down to second base. Yeah, a bit of a delayed steal. She wasn't taken off straight on the pitch. And she's safe there because she dove into second base. If she slides in feet first, I think it's an easy tag for Prigge.
Warren lays off, it's 3-0.
Prigge almost had to reach to try to apply that tag because she dove to the outside part of second base. Good heads-up base running.
Four-pitch walk to Bree Warren, 2 on with 1 down here in the 6th.
Warren definitely likes to pull the ball to the right side, and because of that, Linestock trying to throw those drop balls low and outside. Just not able to find the zone. 4 straight balls. Another runner on board for South Carolina, and this is exactly what this offense needs, that pass the bat mentality, quality at bat after quality at bat. We've seen that a lot more consistently from this team this weekend.
Anaya Black will re-enter for South Carolina. Black doubled off the very top of the wall in the 3rd. Facing Linestock for the first time. Ground ball to second. To flip to short for 1. On to first. That is the 4th double Prigge against Elena Vaughter. Looking for the save here for South Carolina. Jory Hurd started, Sage Margetko followed. Vaughter, the 3rd pitcher used by Carolina today. The ace trying to close it out and give the win to South Carolina. Strike 1 to Lauren Camazin. Fouled off at the plate.
Everybody,
2-5-0 for South Carolina, 1-7-0 for Arkansas. The 1-2 pitch. Just missed.
Good take by Camazin. Elena Vaughter wants that pitch called. Slight smile on her face, but a good location when she's ahead in the count 1-2.
Now a 2-2. Line drive to the center fielder. Blampede puts it away, 1 down.
After working outside with the drop balls, decides to come back inside. Gets a jam shot out to Blampede. Didn't have to run as far to make a catch on that one.
Riley's gotten her steps in this series so far. Back to the top of the order, Reagan Johnson, 3 for 3 today. A couple of infield singles. Infield comes way in. That includes the new second baseman, Carly Shelton.
You can just see how shallow the infielders are playing because Reagan Johnson has that elite level speed moving down the first baseline. You've got to try to play as close as possible to even give yourself a chance to make a play at first base.
0-2 to Johnson. 56 hits now in the season for Reagan. Second in the SEC to Florida's Kendra Falby. 3 for 7 in the series. The 0-2. Swung on a miss. Vaughter gets the strikeout. 2 down.
Vaughter mixing things up a bit on that last pitch. Almost looked like a rise ball that had a bit of arm side run to it, acting a bit like a screwball, but something that's working up in the zone. When you're so used to seeing drop ball after drop ball, it's a great way to mix things up and change the eye level by getting a pitch moving in a different direction. And that's what allowed her to get that strikeout of Johnson there.
Arkansas will go with the pinch hitter. Sophomore Riley Cloud will step in. Just the 7th at-bat of the season for Cloud, who's been used as a pinch runner as of late. One. Cloud batting for Reagan Kramer, who is 0 for 3 today, 0 for 7 in the series. Trying to get to Bree Ellis here in the 7th. One and two. Arkansas is down to their final strike. Courtney Deifel marching in from third, disagreeing with that call on a swinging strike. The 1-2 pitch. 2-2.
Just missing outside, staying outside with those drop balls. Have not seen anything but drop in this at bat to the pinch hitter. Probably going to go back to that same spot here with the 2-2 count.
In on the hands, bloopers, shallow left field. Coming on to grab it is Warren.